Greetings, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Wanted to thank you guys once again for sharing some time with us. My talk today focuses on the 2170 battery 2.0 and why is it that we're seeing 2.0 when we haven't seen 1.0 yet. Bonjour, wie geht's, versteht's? Noch einmal Fahrbeinen, Strasvice, Ni hao ma. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight, and there's this sort of, I want to say, giant elephant in the room / mystery that's been going on for me and others relative to the Model 3 and the implementation of the semi-truck. What this is the fact that the new Gigafactory, even though it's only been in business for 6 months at this point in July of 2017, is producing the 2170 battery. Those batteries are being used in implementations, for example, in South Australia. It's part of an implementation relative to an Elon Musk effort to provide backup power or sort of peak power to help stop blackouts in that area. And these batteries are being used in all these other positions, but those batteries aren't being used to produce Model 3s. So I've sort of been comparing notes to kind of try to figure out what's going on here. And the answer that seems to make sense here is what I call the 2.0 phenomenon. So in theory, the current iteration of the Gigafactory should be capable of producing approximately 5,000 battery packs a week. Yet we're only seeing in the range of 100 cars a month, or in September it'll be 1,500 cars a month. So this seems like a numeric imbalance for some reason. And the question was to try to understand sort of how and why that this is the case. So the answer that I've come up with for this is the fact that we're in a unique situation with the 2170 battery. The first round of batteries, the 18650, the agenda was to show that electric cars weren't what GM said they were, which is, just a way to get by emissions requirements of the state of California and appease everyone and then destroy those cars. There was an effort to really demonstrate that not only are electric cars great vehicles, but they can perform like crazy, so we can see that performance in the Model X and the Model S. In the case of the Model 3 and the implementations in the truck products, you now have new constraints on batteries. The constraints are, number one, cost, and number two, weight. And sort of how do you balance these out to work, I want to say, in a different setting. So in the case of the Model 3, that setting is, can you have a battery pack that's coming in at a low enough cost so that you can offer, in essence, a $30,000 car, but still make a 20% margin on it. And if you ask all those questions, you're now backing off the performance mandate of the Model X and S because you've already got those out there and working well on the other battery. But in this case, can you find ways to sort of address those demons, if you will? So what I was fascinated by, and the reason for this post, is that the chief technical officer for Tesla came out and indicated that on an annual basis, we can expect about a 5% improvement in the form factor metrics of the batteries from Tesla. So where we're at right now is we're 6 months in July, or 7 months into the process, and the first round of metric change for the 2170 will be in the November-ish time frame, maybe December, because it'll be 1 year since those are being produced. Now, sort of looking back on the clock, when you do development of products like this, there are multiple years of sort of planning and research associated with it, and then implementation, preparation and then implementation is a year-long effort. So the first 2170 battery that we're seeing in the current iteration of the Model 3 is in essence a 2 years plus in planning product. And now that there's data that the company has on what that battery does, how it performs in all the metric models, they're coming out with a 2.0. And this 2.0 won't necessarily optimize in terms of customer needs, i.e. more performance for less money. I believe the 2.0 will optimize in terms of Tesla's needs to meet the metrics necessary to make money on this product. So Elon Musk, when asked about sort of how the process of the rollout of the Model 3 would work, he indicated that the numbers suggest a 5,000 per week delivery in December of this year. And it so happens that that November time frame allows Tesla time to figure out how to optimize cost. One example of an optimization that popped to mind for me was the fact that if you're able to remove 2, 3, let's say if you're able to remove 5%, 5 to 7% of the batteries in a pack and it works fine. Well, all of a sudden that 5 to 7% reduction in battery count across thousands of vehicles ends up being the difference between possibly profit and loss. This kind of reminds me of one of the things I learned about in Detroit maybe 20 years ago, which was that I went to visit the GM headquarters and I stayed with the parents of a good friend of mine. And what his dad informed me was the fact that there's an interesting phenomenon where a car manufacturing company will build a car, and then the next year they've got to figure out how they're going to make more money than they did this year. And one way they did was to sort of, for example, look at all the screws in that vehicle. If we cut those screws all in half, guess what? You make money on each screw. And then roll that logic through the whole vehicle, and you go from the first year of maybe a great car to a second year of still a good car, people are buying it, but it may not be what it was in that first year. And profit reasons are the driver here. So my take on the delay of the Model 3, where the most important item there is the battery pack, and the fact that battery packs are available and being used for other things, belies the fact that when Elon Musk talked about making money at scale, if you don't have a profit run plan for your vehicles you're delivering and they're pure loss, you definitely need to clean up those loss circumstances in order to make all the metrics work on staying in business. Because losing money on large amounts of vehicles doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and could put them out of business, and there's no penalty from customers or competition from taking time to sort of get this figured out. So bottom line is that it's my belief where we're at right now is we're prepping, just like from iPhone 1 to iPhone 2, we're prepping for 2170 battery version B or 2.0, and that 2.0 may, certainly it'll involve perhaps a little bit of tweaking to the configuration or the chemistry of the battery, but I believe that it's actually going to include tweaking sort of temperature management issues and costs related to managing the entire execution of that battery across the line. And a part of that is taking in all the data that's been collected on the vehicle in the beta testing phase to sort of redo and make sure that as you go to scale, you can actually deliver at scale with your profit goals in mind. So I in no way believe that it takes them 4 months to get enough, every part needed to build this vehicle. I believe that there's an effort to make sure that they meet their profit goals, and hence why we're going to version 2.0 of this, because its implementation in trucks and cars needs to be killer, because it sets up whether or not the company exists into the future. I think it's a smart move. It slows down delivery, but I think it could be beneficial to everyone involved if this allows the company to stay in business. I wanted to thank you for taking time out to view us once again. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Tschüss, macht's gut. Au revoir, à tout à l'heure, la hitraot. Please like and subscribe. Would love to get your input on this. Thanks and have a great day.